Thank you, Jamal, and thank you, Urban League, YPN, for having me. Let me state a couple of very obvious things. I want your vote. And we are facing problems. I would not be running if we were not facing very big problems. Let me state one more thing that you may not actually know. I do not hate Mr. Moran. A lot of people who run against him seem to. I do not. I do not hate the partisan. I hate the partisanship. I do not hate the player. I hate the... Amen. I do not hate the sinners. I despise the sin. And it is a sin that we have a budget that has caused sequestration to be out there. It is a sin that on all the things that we care about, we're still worried about. Which things do you know of are actually fixed? What's fine? What's okay? Why am I running for Congress in 2012 when many of you haven't seen me before? I am running to take responsibility for the economic and political challenges we face in 2012. I'm running as an independent because that is the only way, the only factual way to reduce partisanship is to send people who do not represent a party. There should be no filter between your representatives and good ideas. Should there be? Talked about housing a minute ago, Mr. Moran referenced, and he has good points because he's been in it, he's been in here. One of the things he didn't mention was the Dodd-Frank bill. Why can't you get a loan? Why can't your uncle or your cousin get a loan? I mean, a mortgage? How about your business? See, when we have problems in our country, we react. I should say that Congress reacts. We react with shock and awe legislation, like Iraq's 2003 war. Remember that? Shock and awe? So the shock and awe was, let's send 2,000 pages at that problem. 2,000 pages so that whatever we were doing over here, let's ratchet it way back over here. Do I want regulation to go away? No. Do I want to repeal Dodd-Frank? No. Do I want to fix and tweak Dodd-Frank? Yeah. Because there are parts of it that are inhibiting not only our growth, but your opportunity to get a loan. Because you don't get a loan from Goldman Sachs or Citigroup, do you? You get a loan from Virginia Commerce. You get a loan from Burke and Herbert. You get a loan from the bank around the corner, relationship banks. Banks that you know, that your families have been a part of for years. What's happening with relationship banks right now? They're consolidating. In 2011, we had 71 bank consolidations. In 2012, as of July, we already have over 100, and we still have more. Why? Because the Dodd-Frank bill is throwing so much compliance at even the small banks who had nothing to do with credit default swaps. They had nothing to do with mismanaging investments in insurance, but they're having to comply with over 300 new laws, at least be able to raise their hand and say, it wasn't me. I went and spoke to the bank, Chainbridge Bank in McLean. They started in 2007. They were having a record year. Do you know how many compliance people they actually have? One. Do you believe that one person can go through all 2,000 pages? The owners don't. That means they're going to have to hire a couple more people. I asked them, how much does it take for one of these compliance people? They're about 100, 150K. So if you hire a couple more of those people, 2, 3, 4, that's $500,000 right off the bottom line, right away. So what's a small bank to do? Got a couple of choices. You can close, or you can merge. What's been happening? They've been merging. So the relationship banks that we count on for, small business loans, for mortgages, they're getting fewer and fewer. So what do? We need to reverse some of the shock and awe. We need to do this with a number of things that have passed recently. Look at what needs to be fixed. Look at the nuance of it. Look how we can be innovative about it. Why haven't we been that way? Why do we have to do that now? Why am I running? It isn't the ideas that I'm making up. It's not like they're not out there. I'd love to think I'm the smartest person in the room. I doubt it. The ideas are being prevented by ideology, and you know that. You saw what happened in the past couple of years. I know I did. My birthday's in August, and for those of you who are historians, I was born just hours before Nixon resigned. Not my fault. Last 2011 August, or already past this year's August, we had a debt debate, which turned into a debt crisis, which turned into a debt downgrade of this country's debt, America's debt. For the first time in United States history, we have been downgraded. Why are we the superpower? Why are we number one? Why are we America? One of the reasons, other countries invest in us. You know what happens when you have bad credit? You either pay more in interest or you don't get the loan. Now, the markets didn't react to us last year because you know what was happening in Europe? Chaos. And so other countries said, well, let's invest in America still. They should be okay. They usually pull it out. Oh, look, they've got the Budget Control Act, and so they got a super committee, and then that's going to work it out. But it didn't work out, did it? And so we're facing, hopefully, a lame duck session that tells the sequestration to go away, that settles the income tax issues, the payroll tax issues, the agricultural bill. Pretty busy lame duck session. May we get downgraded again at the end of this year? Do a Google search. We might. That would be 2 downgrades in 18 months versus 0 in 235 years. America's getting bad credit. And what happened if Europe, if it actually recovers, which it's starting to? Spain's trying to fix itself. Greece is trying to fix itself. Well, Germany told it to. So when it recovers, what are people going to say about our debt? Interest rates are either going to go up, or we're not going to get lent to. We'll probably just have interest rates go up. But when interest rates go up, there's more pressure to balance the budget. When there's more pressure to balance the budget, the people who are in charge, and this year we're likely to have a Republican-controlled Congress. They're the ones, the U.S. House of Representatives, they control the budget. So what are they going to cut, do you think, if interest rates go up? I'm running to pass legislation that actually balances the budget in a balanced way, that actually creates comprehensive tax policy that is balanced, that is nuanced, that actually creates an environment for jobs which are created by the small businesses who get the small loans from the small banks. And once we balance a budget, we will not have to fear sequestration. But until we do, we will. I know many of you have a relationship with Mr. Moran. And as I started, I do not dislike Mr. Moran. In fact, in a very weird twist of fate, he reminds me of someone that I miss dearly. But I'm running against this particular candidate because I will have the ability to do what he cannot. After 21 years of his dedicated service, unfortunately, he has been painted into a partisan corner. I will have the wherewithal and nothing to gain from either party to go in there and write a piece of legislation that's nuanced, to go knock on a door of a majority leader who's in our 7th district and say, can we agree on something? And by the way, to go knock on Mr. Connolly's door, who's very likely to win, and say, can we get together as Northern Virginia congressmen? And can this state be a model? I know that being a part of a party is a wonderful thing. I can tell you it would have been a lot easier if I were. You have friends who also chose that. You have a president who is a genius. If you're a Republican and you've got a presidential candidate who's a millionaire, no matter what, you have a group, you have peers. You're a part of something. So what does being a part of Jason Howell mean? What are you part of? If you vote for me, well, I'm offering you something that you already have, that you're already a part of. An experiment that combines cultures, races, religions for the first time in history. That allows 1 million people a year to come here from other parts of the world. I'm offering you the opportunity to think for yourselves, to be revolutionary in your own minds, to be American. I look forward to all of your questions, and I ask, as I said in the beginning, for your vote.